In this episode, we make even more electric machines for crafting stainless steel, sodium, and even neodymium. We also set up Kanthal tier electric blast furnaces and vacuum freezers for stainless steel and Kanthal ingots. Hey friends, we are pretty much picking up right where we left off at the end of the last episode. I haven't done anything else so far, and it's been a week, so I'm a little bit discombobulated. But we're gonna pick up. I know we were working towards stainless steel, so let's go ahead and do that. I was gonna try to set up more of these cutting machines for different rods and bolts that we're going to need, just to have them going, but it was kind of a pain to try to figure out which recipes we need because these guys have like thousands of recipes in there to look through. And I didn't want to do that. So what I've decided is going to happen is we'll just keep progressing, and then whatever we come across that we need, we'll just set it up as we go for the cutting machines. But okay, let's see what we need for stainless steel. The first step is going to be to get the stainless steel dust, which comes from a mixer. So we'll need a mixer that has iron dust, nickel dust, manganese dust, and chromium dust. If you guys missed the last episode, we have chromium bees and manganese bees, and those guys are producing the dust for us. So we have that over here in our system, building up, and we still need nickel dust and iron dust. I mean, we have nickel and iron over here, and instead of doing the dust some other way and then also stocking it in here, I'm just going to do, let's see, we'll pick up these guys and we can put them in here. And also nickel dust. We can just make some with a hammer. And we'll put these guys over here. And the rest of them, I'm just going to set up macerators. So we can crush down the nickel and the iron, doing it that way. So we're going to need 2 electric macerators. How do I not have those invar and get things set up? You're going to need 2, and we'll just continue down the line over here. Set them up. I keep saying at some point I am going to organize this better, but let's just set these guys up. So the first guy, we're going to be doing iron dust. So let's go ahead and put that. It's just going to be ingots. That's going to be the recipe. And the next one, we'll be doing nickel dust. Put that in there and move this down to 16 and 16. All right, let's go ahead and set up the code for it. So we have the nickel and iron in here, and we need to add, we already have a macerator. Where are our other macerators? Ooh, over here. This one's in silicon. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to stack them over here. And set these recipes up again. And here in our macerator thing, we're just going to edit this, and we're going to pick up iron ingot and nickel ingot. So that's picking up from the controller. We also need to pick up from the interface. All right, here they go. So we are getting nickel and iron dust, and we can set up a mixer now for stainless steel. So let's make some electric mixers. I'll start with one, and then we can expand to more later on if we need to. So here's this guy, and it's going to give us stainless steel with this recipe. And this one we can do 60, and then the rest of them will be 10. That'll give us the correct ratio to get stainless steel dust. Not that you really have to do that. All right, so now we pick up all the dust from there and put it in the mixer. So let's take a look at our mixer right here. I'm gonna do just another one for stainless steel, I think. So mixer, stainless steel. Pretty simple. We're just going to pick up all the dust from the controller, put it in the mixer, put it back in the controller. So now we need to label this guy. Oh my God. Mixer, 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 mixer. Look at that. We are getting stainless steel dust that we need to put in there. So now it's going to be emptied. And this guy's getting creosote. Why? Is it from here being pushed up? I should just lock this. Dang it. Let's remove the label. So now this is going to stop. Pick up the machine. Put it back down. We are going to do the stainless steel recipe again, and this time we're going to also lock those because we don't need that for stainless steel, right? Yeah. So now the creosote will not go in there. Same thing. Put these guys back. All right. Now we need a way to smelt the stainless steel dust, and we can't just do it inside of a furnace. So this is where we have to do the electric blast furnace. And this can be done in the copper nickel tier. Actually, we should be able to make Kanthal now. Let's take a look. The Kanthal dust is done in another mixer with stainless steel, aluminum, and chromium. Chromium we have. Aluminum dust I don't think we have. So let's go ahead and set up another macerator for that. Give it the thing. Why does this look different? Is it because it's turned on? I think it's because it's turned on. That looks strange. Aluminum dust, por favor. That is the recipe. And I forgot what pick block. Alt right click. And then it should pick up alumina ingots. Do we not have alumina ingots? I'm going to replace this with just ingot. So this should work. All right, we are getting alumina dust. So we need another mixer, I think it was, right, for Kanthal dust. Yes, sir. So here's our next mixer that will go over there. And same thing. So Kanthal dust. This recipe, let's remember to lock those guys again. And then we alt right click to pick block. Do that. And look at that. We have Kanthal now. So let's take that guy and put him in there. And let's see how we get. So the Kanthal wires come from the plates, which come from the ingots, and the ingots come from, well, let's set up the vacuum. Well, the hot thing comes from an EBF. So this is where we set up the copper nickel electric blast furnace. So let's make an electric blast furnace and grab our wrench, and let's see how we set this guy up. I'll put him over here. So we need those heat-proof machine casings, which is just all Invar stuff. Do we have Invar plates? We sure do. I think it was 17 of these guys. We're not going to need that many because we'll also need hatches. And then we need the copper nickel wire, the coils. So let's also make those guys. And how many of those was it? 16. All right, we put the wrench in our offhand, and this will show you how to make it. So all of these guys on the bottom will be the heat-proof casings. Then we're going to put 2 rings of copper nickel, leaving the center open, and then the top gets covered with that guy. So this shape is valid. It's copper nickel tier. And now we just need to put the hatches in there. So the electric blast furnace will need power to run. Can we do medium voltage? That comes from an advanced machine hall, which is doable. I think we can make this. So let's set up. So silicon battery. I'm just going to make this recipe for all these guys. Oh, you know what? We can't. Oh, it is. We can make electrum. Never mind. We have 1 medium voltage energy input hatch. If we hold that in our hand, it shows you all the places you can put it. So I'll just put it back here in the corner. And then we are going to need, what were we doing with that? We'll need item input and output hatches. And we don't have recipes for any of those. Here's an advanced item input hatch. Then we will need an output hatch. All right, there is item output hatch, item input hatch. And that's all we need, I think. So let's set this up. We'll use this guy. All right, so we're taking the Kanthal Dust from the controller, outputting that to the EBF item input, and then we're going to take something out of the item output and put it in the controller. So that should work. Make sure you pull the labels from this guy, and oh, we need to power this as well. So let's add the power guy. Every tick do, we're going to input FE from the interface and output to, we'll just call it EBF. All right, let's pull the labels. We have the interface that's labeled EBF item output, item input. So this guy is running, it's full of Kanthal. And should give us the dust. Or it should give us the ingot. And once we get the hot ingot, should we store the hot ingot? Is there any use for hot ingot besides? No. Maybe when we need argon and helium, but there might be other ways of doing that. Liquid air is going to be the way to do that. Okay. So then I'm just going to move, instead of storing the hot ingots, I'm just going to move those to the vacuum freezer. So up next, we're going to need our vacuum freezer. So let's make the recipe for that. And then the vacuum freezer is going to need frost-proof machine casings. Let's make one of those guys and put them down. We'll have to move them one up higher. Like that. I'm going to change these guys around. I'll put this as the output hatch, and then we can just have it auto export into the vacuum freezer. So we don't even have to do that with Super Factory Manager. So let's change that up. This is the item input hatch we'll put over there, and then the output hatch will go over here. and we need to change. So the input will go over here. The output will go over there. Like so. Let's push those to that. And then we haven't done this yet, but you can set auto extracts with these guys. So you can click to enable auto eject, and then you see right now the orange part is on the back side. I don't want the back side. I want it to be on this side. So you shift right click the center of it. If you do the top or the sides or whatever, it'll put it, like if I do this side, it'll put it on the back. If I do the middle, it'll do the thing that I'm looking at. So that's that. And then we will need an advanced item input hatch. We'll need all of the hatches, right? So we'll need power, we'll need input and output. And then those heat proof or frost proof. How many frost proofs? 33. So we'll make 30 because we have 3 hatches. All right. So the item input hatch is going to go against this guy. So right now the hot ingot is coming into here. And then we will have our energy and that. And then these guys will go like this. Shape is valid, status is active, things in the world are good. All right, so now we're also going to give to vacuum freezer power, and then let's do, and all we need to do for the vacuum freezer is just input from the item output and then put in the controller. We don't need to do the inputs. So that is set up. Here is the vacuum freezer. That's the energy. Item output is this guy. So then we take, so it has, oops, it has energy now. It should be working and producing Kanthal ingots. And we take that and put it right over there. So we have Kanthal done, and the Kanthal stuff. So the plates are going to be done in a compressor, and then the wire mill also. So let's make an electric compressor. So here's an electric wire mill, electric compressor. Let's go set them up. And these guys we can put there. Compressor goes down. We want all the Kanthal stuff. So the plates, recipe is locked. And we need to pull. So we're on that manager. Don't forget to pull from this one. Otherwise, we're going to make that mistake again of pushing the things in the wrong thing. Alt click to block pick on that one. And that should start going. Easy as pie. We set this to 16. All right, same exact deal with the wire mill. So we set up the wire mill, put that down, do the Kanthal wire. It's locked. Alt click. Oops. Alt right click to select it and push it in the controller. Now this should get going as soon as this is done, but we need to put this in here so it has a place to go. Right, so Kanthal is going. And then the wires we also need to put in there. Now, the Kanthal coil is made by the wires, which we have the recipe for already. So let's speed up these guys. And this guy. Can I speed up? I don't think I can speed this guy up, right? Oh, I can. Very nice. And let's speed up this guy too while we're at it. Oh, we are pumping it out. Okay. So that should give us enough to make the Kanthal coils. How many do we need? 16. That's right. All right, so we have these guys now, and we can break that and put the Kanthal ones. So this will form again, and we just have to go select the Kanthal tier. And now we have the Kanthal tier. Whatever this is, electric blast furnace. So this guy is going to be doing Kanthal. And why don't we set up another one, and that one will do stainless steel, right? So let's make another electric blast furnace. Electric blast furnace will do all 3 hatches. And then we will need 14 heat-proof machine casings and 16 coils. So 16 of these coils, and then heat-proof, we already have, how many did I say? 14, so 11. All right, this guy will set up over here. I mathed that wrong. All right, so this guy is active, and for this, oh, I didn't math that wrong. I just didn't put the input hatches in there. Oh, so the item input will go in the middle. The item output has to go on this side because that's where we're going to be putting the vacuum freezer. And we will set this guy to auto eject from this side. And then can we lock a recipe for this? Let's look at the stainless steel. So stainless steel dust will go in there, and then this one will do like so. So now instead of having to filter for the things, we can just input. So instead of doing Kanthal dust, we can just do dust like this, and it'll pick up Kanthal and it'll pick up the other thing. Okay, and then let's build a vacuum freezer, which is going to require frost-proof. How many of those was it? 30. And then all the hatches. So we have input item input hatch. We'll go over here. So this should start getting filled up with that. And then we'll lock the rest. So stainless steel. And then we have item output hatch, energy input. Boop. All right, let's go ahead and pick up the labels and label these guys. So back freezer will be the energy. I should just call it, instead of vacuum freezer, I just call it energy. So I'm going to erase those. I'll call it MV input. That sounds better to me. So we have EBF I'm going to remove, and then we'll use MV input. Same thing with this one. Vac freeze will remove. And then where is MV input? MV input. MV input. Did I put Kanthal hot ingot over here? No. So we don't need this guy either. The EBF item input is doing nothing. It's not used in the code, I don't think, right? That should still work. Let's test it out. So we have EBF input over here. And then we have back output. Right there. And I'm going to press that to clear the rest of the labels. So now this guy is making stainless steel hot ingots. We should be going into here. It just takes long. There we go. We have stainless steel ingots that we'll put over there. Sick. You guys, we have stainless steel. Let's speed this guy up. That is going. Now that we have stainless steel, what are we going to do with it? We should make all the rods and stuff for stainless steel. So let's set those up. This guy, the ring, we can just make the recipe. And then the rods, I imagine we have to do in the cutting machine. So electric cutting machine right here. And the cutting machine is going to be doing stainless steel. Let's pull the labels from this manager. Speed this guy up a little bit. All right, let's put the rods. Stainless steel rods can go in there. And then we use the rods to make the bolts also. And that is in the cutting machine as well. So we need another cutting machine. And here's the bolt recipe, locked, ready to go. We just label it. This is so convenient, guys. You just label it and it makes shit for you. So nice. Except we're not getting rods. Let's go ahead and look at the cutting machine. What's going on here? Cutting, not connected by cables. That makes sense. You could also make these walls out of cables and then push these guys back so you don't have to do this in the back. That would have probably been smarter. But I wanted them to be one away from the wall so they don't run into these scaffoldings. But all right, so we're getting those things. We are also going to be doing, oh, we can't do this one, huh? Because we need neodymium. Centrifuging that thing. Okay. Stainless steel plates, we can just make this recipe for. And then do we have the large plates? I mean, and also the gear. And we need to do the curved plate, so bending. Electric bending machine. Let's make a recipe for this guy. So basically, as we go forward and we make more and more types of ingots and materials for modern industrialization, we're just going to go through and add those machines. So there is the bender. So let's set up recipes for the clean stainless steel machine casing. So we have all the recipes for those, and then the pipe machine casing as well. All right, so I think we're getting all of these things. Now, the next thing we're going to be going towards is, what is that thing called? The distillation tower that we're going to be making. That is going to require digital gates, which requires all of these things, all the gates. So let's make recipes for those. And then we'll need these turbo machine hulls. So aluminum cables we can make already. We need these sodium batteries and the turbo machine casing. So that's stainless steel plates. So we can make the turbo machine casing now. And then the advanced pumps is all the stainless steel stuff and advanced motors. We do need to set up the rods, I think we have, but the magnetic stainless steel things, which will require neodymium. So let's put a tab in that. We're going to be doing neodymium. That's what we need because there's no other way of doing this recipe for the advanced motor. And then turbo machine hull, I think I did already. Let's put these in here so we can tell. The digital circuit, we can make all of those things, and the digital circuit board, that happens inside of an assembler. And we have everything except for the polyethylene. So we do need to make polyethylene. Is that the output? I think that's the input still. So we will have to take a look at that. Ethylene will come from our distillation tower, which will be nice. But we might have to just do normal distillery before we have that. So let's take a look at this neodymium dust. We get that by centrifuging Monzanite dust, which I have been coring in the mining dimension with our quarry over here. So I'm just going to grab all these guys, and we can make bees for Monzanite also. So this will be really easy. All I have to do is just make a couple of these blocks. And I was saying Monzanite, that's actually monazite. So there's that. To make the bees, we need some sulfur bees, and then we just feed it the blocks, and we'll need 2 of those to get the Monzanite bees, and then the feeding material is a block of it. So all you really need is 3 blocks of monazite, which is 27 of these dusts that you can easily get by coring or even going mining. You should be able to get. So let's go set that up. Sulfur bees. Let's see how we make those, because I don't think we have those. So it's coal and magmatic. There is magmatic. We are going to be using the treats to... This guy's not upgraded. And then, what was it? And coal. We'll need some cages. Oops, not that. Sulfur bees. I guess instead of breeding more of them together, you can just make 2 and breed them if you don't have enough, but we have enough Monzanite where I can just make 7 of these guys, and we'll feed it the blocks. There's 5, 6, 7. And those guys will all go in there. And then I'll make 2 more of these sulfur bees just so we have them. All right, and then we want to set up these Monzanite dusts in our controller. And as the bees make it, so we'll set it up here in the controller. As the bees make it, because this has a higher priority, it'll come here. And once this is full, it'll overflow into our cells. So we'll also have to set it up for the cells. Take a few out, put it back in. Okay, let's go set this up, the extraction on them. And then finally our bees. Now these centrifuges we can repurpose for this recipe. So Monzanite dust goes in there. We're going to be getting cadmium, neodymium, and yttrium. And it'll also give us helium, which will be cool. So this looks like it's going to be a nice recipe. We'll set that up for both centrifuges. We're going to pick it up dust from the centrifuge, or from the controller, putting in the centrifuge, and then put the items back in the controller. So once we load that up, we will have to go and optimize this guy because it seems like with how many things that are not filtered, and it's like trying to put them in the machine and it's not working, it's going to cause some issues for us, which we can fix later. Later I'll optimize my code, but for now we're not having crazy lag problems. So I'll just let it go for a bit. All right, and we picked up the helium as well. And helium can go over there. We do also have to pick up fluids. Oops, let's change that. That's why it's not going in there. So we're going to pick up input item, comma, fluid from centrifuge, and output item, comma, fluid to the controller. So now the helium should be going in here as well. There it is. Okay, so that gives us the ability now to get the polarized to the magnetic one. So these polarizers, one of them I can repurpose to the stainless steel one. We should be able to just do that. Let's start working. We're going to put dust, wire, and rod from controller. All right, so those neodymium things can go in there. And then we're going to need these sodium dusts for sodium, for the sodium thing. And it's also going to give us chlorine, which will be cool because we don't have that yet. And that requires lots of salt. So let's make the salty bee. And that's just a normal bee with some salts. So do we have a normal bee? Oh God, there we have normal bees and some salt, which we should be able to get from our trusty thing, hopefully. Let's see. Give me salt. Nice. This has been helpful. So we'll make 5 bees. Or how about 7? And we'll feed them salt, salt. I need salt. That looks like everybody. We'll have to go all the way to the bottom here and set up over here with the salty bees. I'm going to make sure this guy can hold salt. So now we'll be getting the salt, but let's also fill up the salt in our controller, because I like, rather than just stocking things in the interface, we can just have it in the controller. All right, and then it was sodium, which comes from an electrolyzer. Do we have an electrolyzer we are not using? I think we do, right? Okay. This guy. This will be the recipe. Pretty simple. We're going to be inputting the salt from the controller, put in that electrolyzer, and then once the things are done, we're going to pick up the items and the fluid, which is chlorine, from the electrolyzer and put it in the controller. We just have to label it. There is the electrolyzer. The top one I'm going to leave off for now. Let's see how fast this machine is. This is salt dust from modern industrialization. We need it to be this salt. Like that. No, lock it. So this guy's going. Let's speed her up. We're getting sodium dust. That goes in here. Look at that. We're already running out of room. And then we'll use a bucket. What is manganese tiny dust? Why is that happening? So here's chlorine, and the chlorine will go over there. Things are happening. And then the sodium we can use to make sodium battery. So there's a recipe for that guy. And that gets used, so we can make high voltage storage units now. Actually, we have everything for that. We can make the turbo machine hall. Well, not yet, because we need the digital circuit board, and that requires polyethylene, which we need to set up a chemical reactor with the chromium tiny dust. I think I'm going to continue this in the next episode. So I'll leave you guys here. I am going to do the oily bee also in between episodes, and then when we come back, we'll set up all the stuff to get the distillery set up. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching for now. Thank you, and I will see you in the next episode.